Wisynco has now become the fifth largest shareholder in HoneyBun. And when I heard this news, I was like, this makes sense. There are obvious synergies, but what does this mean for shareholders?
So just to clarify, Wisynco Group's parent company is a fifth largest shareholder in HoneyBun. So a listed company, the owner of the listed company. So that's the first major thing to highlight. But the reason why I mentioned this key point about, Wisynco's parent buying a stake in HoneyBun is because of the fact that we would have seen last Friday this major $3.9 billion trade for Wisynco shares. And we saw a disclosure on Monday on the JSE that effectively almost $12 billion worth of Wisynco shares were traded last week. And the only that actually has that much shares of Wisynco, it's the Wisynco Group Caribbean Limited, the same parent company that bought the shares in HoneyBun. So if Wisynco Group Caribbean has all this liquidity and just took this initial stake in HoneyBun, what else are they going to do with that money in the market? Because we should also remember that Wisynco Group Caribbean, also owns a 30% stake in Worthy Park. And I'm not sure, if prior to the Wisynco listing, that the 50% stake in Tradewind Citrus was moved over to, Wisynco Group Caribbean, but you kind of get your own Kalila. Like, these are big deals happening with Wisynco's parent company. And the listed company itself is also doing big moves.
So, all right. So, as an investor now, what does this mean for me?
Well, it definitely means that, for one, it definitely means for one that there is a holding company that is looking to deploy more capital into different listed companies. And the thing about that is, if you're seeing a company like Wisynco's parent company, Wisynco Caribbean, taking a stake in your business, it obviously means that you're doing something right, and you're likely to have some sort of future growth that is likely going to be quite significant. Because, for context, Wisynco pays out about 1.5 billion in dividends each year. About 70% of those dividends goes to the parent company. So you can call it about 1.2 to 1.3 billion Jamaican dollars each year, right? If they just sold some shares recently, got a Wisynco Group Limited listed company, just was taking HoneyBun, what else are they going to buy? And that's the beauty of it. It's similar to thinking about even a MJE, whereby they take these stakes in these different listed companies and profit at a later date in the future. So we'd have seen, for example, in 2016-17 when MJE would have bought a stake in CPJ at $3, sold to AS Bryant at over at $10.50. Some persons are even able to sell at $24 back in February 2022, I believe, or around 2021, one of those two periods. But still, it's still a very impressive thing to take note of. In respect to the listed company now, Wisynco Group Limited, they just came off another high year. Record revenues, profitability was a little bit flat based on the fact that their additional expenses to meet their expansion needs have not caught up as yet with production, but Wisynco's production capacity has gone up by at least 40 to 50%. Now, if Wisynco Group was basically capped, meaning that they were producing at full capacity before the expansion, and they have 50% more capacity now, that runway for them is going to be much bigger and much better going forward. Because the company in the future, it tends to actually have about 10% of its revenue coming from exports. So it currently stands less than 2% of Wisynco's revenues actually come from exports right now. So if they're able to easily get that to 10%, and they're doing about 40, no, they're doing about probably $55 billion in sales right now annually. That's an extra $5 billion in revenue, and it does assume much better margins compared to the Jamaican business. Then you're talking about probably over $2 to $3 billion extra to the bottom line. And this is on top of the fact that the company is looking to add more warehousing space across Jamaica to further optimize its distribution network. because when most persons think of Wisynco in terms of water, crown water, boom, those drinks that they manufacture, Wisynco is also a major distributor. So we have
Mm-hmm.
seen last year where Wisynco, got the distribution rights to distribute Jamaican Teas Limited's products. So Caribbean Dreams, Tetley, Wisynco now distributes those products. Creamy, Devon House Ice Cream, Coca-Cola, Haagen-Dazs, True Juice, Where the Park products, just so many different products you can think of under that one roof for Wisynco. So you have this dual growth plan in the sense of looking to further grow that distribution network and presence, make themselves a one-stop shop, but also further grow their manufacturing portfolio of beverages that is just quite, in heavy demand because according to the executive chairman, William Mahfood, he pointed out this was the first summer where they were able to successfully meet the summer demand in probably the last 5 years. Now,
Wow.
if summer is already hot and you couldn't meet the demand before you expanded the capacity, and you're just waiting to finally meet it now with this their 50% additional capacity now, that tells you that they really are going to be able to ramp up revenues and profitability going forward just off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And even we think back in May had a job fair where they're looking to get 400 persons. They had about 1,000 persons show up and they're taking the job fair by an extra day. And they're still looking for persons right now, particularly like, blow mold technicians and other specialized roles in the factory. But here's one company that, I'm sure many persons are glad actually decided to go public because prior to 2017, we think it was private. Now public, you get to benefit and
Mm-hmm.
reap the rewards of their growth.
So Wisynco is on an aggressive growth path. But you did mention right at the beginning, David, that it's not Wisynco that's bought the stake in HoneyBun. It's Wisynco's parent company. So will we
Correct.
see so we won't be seeing the impact of the HoneyBun shareholding on Wisynco that's listed on their balance
Correct.
sheet?
That's correct. But the thing is, we should also remember Wysinco Group Limited listed company also has a good amount of cash. So they can always go back to, HoneyBun CEO and say, hey, I want to buy some shares too. So any card is at play. But the truth of the matter is to see the parent company taking the positive step forward to acquire different positions in some listed companies is a positive outlook because while it doesn't benefit immediately to shareholders, it does kind of give a direction as to where the Mahfood family and principals look towards growth in Jamaica and good run businesses because you know remember Wisynco Group also owned a 30% stake in JP Snacks Caribbean. They're back in profitability now and expanding again. So between the decisions of both the parent company and listed company, it's kind of good to look at where they're deciding to invest their money because you don't know where their decisions, based on what they know, will lead in the future. But all in all, it's been a fun about almost 7 years to the date Wisynco been listed. And I'm sure shareholders who bought in the IPO are happy with the 166% unrealized capital gains before dividends.
Yeah, Javon says to think Wisynco came to market at $9 and is currently trading at twice its IPO price, or as you just said,
So
166%. Plus, they're one of the biggest producers and distributors.
so to clarify, the IPO price was $7.89.
$7.
Seven
$7.
dollars eighty nine cents. I actually bought an IPO, so that's how I remember it.
That was the one that just missed me. So I started right after. I was supposed to start with Wisynco, got cold feet, didn't do it, and then I started at the next one. And well, I've told that story many times. So the play here, David, based on this new deal, is HoneyBun, because they would have just gotten a significant payout from Wisynco's parent company for these
No,
shares, and we're gonna assume that they're gonna be investing it in growth.
no. So just to clarify, Wisynco Group's parent company bought the shares from Michelle Chong, HoneyBun CEO. And just for context, HoneyBun themselves are
Oh.
also in their own expansion path because HoneyBun just, acquired they just leased a 6,000 square foot facility in Angel, St. Catherine for their own expansion plans. So all of these little relationships kind of showing you that companies are growing and some of these parties are putting their money where their mouth is to take advantage of the perceived growth that is coming in the future for some of these companies.
So Michelle got her cash out. Good for you, Michelle Chung. Get your money. Get your money, Michelle Chung. But yeah, so either way, the play is both Wisynco and HoneyBun, not necessarily because of this deal, but because both are on a substantial growth path.
Exactly, and in both instances, both of them have a good amount of capital and cash on hand to do a variety of things. They're just things that they can choose whether or not to do. Because in the case of HoneyBun, looking to grow exports more, Wisynco looking to grow exports more, and they're both expanding themselves to meet that external demand, not necessarily local Jamaican demand alone, but external demand more so.
All right. Yes, Learn, Grow, Invest, 787. I do remember that number. 787 was the IPO price for Wisynco.